Finally.
Yeah, stay over there.
Hello.
Lady in red.
Lady in red.
Nice blue suit.
Yeah, look at that.
Mike switched it up tonight.
Like wearing blue. Honestly, you look good in blue, so whatever works.
Oh, thank you.
All right,
Hey,
welcome to
Jer
Buffalo
Bear.
Plus. Huh?
Jer Bear, hey, it's all been a while since I had a chance to watch. Love the show.
Oh, thank you,
Shout
Jer
out Jer Bear.
We appreciate you. Welcome to the show. Tonight we're going to be talking Bills-Giants. Bills need a little bit of a bounce back.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. Comes at
Good part of the schedule.
Yeah, I was going to say, it comes at the right time.
You can't just count wins. We can do that. We can look at that. The players really aren't.
Yeah.
So don't worry about that. Like sometimes people say you're looking ahead. You got the Giants,
Patriots.
Patriots. Man.
Yeah.
I just think about it.
Who's after that? Giants, Patriots.
Then it's the Thursday night against Tampa.
Tampa.
Oh,
Tampa
yeah, the
is
Bucks.
Physical.
sneaky competent. Like
Yes.
Baker
I love
can be
Baker.
okay.
I'm a Baker fan.
Really?
Yeah.
I wouldn't think so.
He's
You
got
like the
some-
commercials?
Those commercials were funny.
We got a viewer from Brazil,
Nice.
cool.
I think that's, well, I know we've had some. but
Any
that's-
from London?
David Corsall. Yes, I'm wearing a
Anybody
hoodie.
watching us?
Bullseye says,
followed me
is
on
Jenna in the
LinkedIn.
no
Followed
contact?
me on Twitter.
No contact red
Right.
tonight for Jenna.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh, by the way, the Bills are dressing like Jenna this week. They're wearing
Yeah,
their
already?
red.
Yeah, color rush.
Yeah. So
good
Jenna's in her
afternoon.
color rush.
Josh Price
Oh, wait, let's
from
go this way.
Alaska. He said,
right.
good afternoon.
All right,
Wow.
Josh.
What time?
Whoa.
What time is it there?
It's probably
I'm
got to
going
be
to say it's probably around,
1 or 2.
1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh, man.
Josh, what time is it?
Time zones are crazy.
He'll tell us.
No.
No.
Oh, sorry. we're
So many
talking to our
primetime
producer.
games and 4 o'clock games coming up by David Corsall. He's right.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
very true. All right, we're going to talk about a lot, but just hang with us. We're going to start the show in 10 seconds. We'll be right back.
Buffalo Plus, your interactive look at the week in football, brought to you by Connors and Ferris.
All right, welcome into Buffalo Plus, presented by Connors and Ferris. Mike Catalana, Dan Fetes. I am Jenna Cottrell. We're talking about Week 6, the Bills welcoming in the Giants for Sunday Night Football in this one. Bills coming off a tough loss to Jacksonville last week. Mike, where is this team at right now?
We talk about this a lot. It's not just who you play, it's when you play them. And I think the Bills are catching the Giants at a good time. Look, this was a team that was a playoff team a year ago. They won a lot of close games. But not only, I didn't think the roster was a playoff caliber roster. That's a credit to Brian Daboll and his coaching staff from a year ago. And I didn't think they added enough this offseason. And they've been way up and way down, mostly down this year. It just has not been a good start for this team, plus a ton of injuries coming into this game. Add into the fact, Dan, that the Bills are coming off a big disappointment in London against Jacksonville. And I think the Bills will be ready to play in this one.
And they will welcome back the beautiful fat face, as the team so eloquently says it. Those are their words, not mine, of Brian Daboll back in Western New York. I think that adds enough not to overlook, as we will get into, a very poor Giants team. Mike, like you talked about it, their point differential is worse in the league. They've been outscored by 94 points so far through 5 games. They are not a good team, and this is exactly what the Bills need. Coming off the London trip, coming off a game where they lose to another all-pro player on defense and another Pro Bowl caliber player that was playing this season in DaQuan Jones, to kind of mix some guys in, I think it's a perfect time to face the Giants at home Sunday night to put on an easy win against Brian Daboll.
Yeah, I mean, the Bills are certainly hoping for that. But you talk about Brian Daboll coming back to town, Dan. That's obviously a guy who has a lot of history in Buffalo with this team, and especially with number 17, Josh Allen.
Yeah, Josh Allen has never been shy about his feelings and relationships with Brian Daboll over the years. He said he loved him not only as a coach, but as a person. And those two continue to shower each other with compliments this week. Take a listen.
Josh Allen's an unbelievable player, one of the best in the league. You can put him in probably any offense and he's going to produce. So, I missed him as a person. We're close.
He's meant so much to me in my football career and in my life, for that matter.
Put on any tape, he's exceptional at everything. He can run, But he can throw it, and he can throw it wherever he needs to throw it. 80 yards down the field, drop a dime, on the move to the right, put it back across his body, scramble, back up, scramble around, throw it out, throw it on time.
You know, my path of my career and getting better, he was probably the most influential one. You know, he's a guy that I talk to each and every day, obviously figuring out what concepts I do and I don't like.
Yeah, it's just great to hear them. And Daboll is so funny. You've gotten used to his press conferences for the 4 years that he was here. Very monotone.
Yes.
You talk to him off camera. Super.
So much personality.
So much personality. Likable, personable, all of those things.
Hilarious.
Yeah, and again, Josh said that there have been a lot of hands in the pie that have made him into the elite quarterback that he is. But he kind of said that Daboll was my first. Like, he had a massive impact on him.
Couple of things about that. One, he's with the quarterback that way, right? And a lot of people would think, well, that's the way he is with the quarterback. But we in the past have heard John Feliciano talk, Deion Dawkins talk that way about him. Defensive guys talk that way about him as the kind of coach. And the other thing I wanted to add to this, he is a Buffalo native. And this guy's been a lifer in pro football. And now, even though he's having a rough year, he gets to walk into Orchard Park as a head coach in the NFL. And I think that's a great moment for him. I know he'll have friends and family there. And, hey, you don't know what happens in the NFL. But he needs to, and I'm sure he will, take a sense of pride. He's come there as a New England Patriots coach. He's come there on the Jets staff. He's come there on Cleveland staff. And he's certainly been there a lot in Buffalo as a Bills coach. But now you're a head coach in the NFL in your hometown. I think that's pretty cool. Yeah, coming back as a head coach, that's got to mean something to him. And look, this Bills team, in terms of offensively, like, they want a bounce-back effort against a guy who obviously knows them so well. I mean, the Bills last week against Jacksonville, they really struggled in certain moments, especially for this team. Like, we've seen them be so productive. We've seen them put up so many points, Dan. And last week, it just felt like everything took so much out of this group. Yeah, and it seemed like it was all encompassed once again on a sideline shot of Stefan Diggs throwing the tablet. Seemed like he was very frustrated. Again, national media, social media loves to take that Diggs was unhappy and all of these things, and we continue to recycle it. Josh Allen put that to bed this week. He was the one that said Diggs was mad at himself for a release that he did, that he wasn't mad at anybody else. And he said that it ticks him off when people kind of say it. He kind of was one of those, Jenna, keep my wide receiver's name out of your mouth. Like, he's our guy. He's animated in a good way. We need it. And I respected that Josh took that chance this week to kind of put things to bed. Well, that was the thing. I feel like Josh Allen doesn't always take those opportunities. He's obviously asked a lot of questions, and he's very smart. He picks and chooses the places in which he wants to elaborate. But this was something where we saw a lot of emotion out of Allen talking about, defending his wide receiver. And here is what Stefan Diggs had to say about what happened on the sidelines and how he feels about the situation.
And it's easy to react however you want to, draw whatever conclusion you want from what you saw. But as a player on this team and as a leader on this team, I hold myself to a very high standard, and people don't understand that. You won't understand that. To a lot of people in the regular world, I consider it to be a game, and it is a game. I just don't play about this game. You know what I'm saying? I take it to heart. I give it everything I got, and I'm very hard on myself. So, obviously, I'm thankful to have a quarterback to have my back and someone that understands, somebody that's out there, somebody that plays the game of football. I don't play about this game. I love that. I love it. Diggs is fiery. That is who he is, and I feel like for a lot of fans, you might not the situations you see on the sidelines, there's so much emotion packed into all of those things. It is very reactionary, but the funny thing is, and you guys know this as well, it's very much a short-term memory. But we're on the sidelines, and there's context to things, and to hear the conversations. Like, I go back to remember the Jets game, being on the sidelines. Like, Diggs was the one in Josh's face after he had all those turnovers saying, like, it's good, we're fine, like, pick it up. That's not as fun to talk about in the national media. It's the throwing the iPad. And this is why we tell everybody, pay attention to the local reporters. There's a lot of really good ones. We like to think we're in that group. Jen and I are in the locker room in London. We see Stefan Diggs, Josh Allen, and Gabe Davis sitting around like adults after a disappointing loss, talking. No one's mad. Nobody's yelling. I think it was more of a what happened, what can we do, stick together kind of thing. And very normal. That's the stuff we see. It's not the kind of thing you tweet about. Nobody is doing that. I think this team, and certainly Stefan Diggs, I think he's having a phenomenal year, and I think he's done everything this team wants him to do. It was a productive adult conversation. Right.
And to see the things that get taken out of context, I can imagine for Diggs, it's got to be frustrating because there already is that national narrative about the player that he is, the person he is.
Yeah.
Is he a diva wide receiver? And Josh Allen coming to his side saying, no, that's not it at all.
We've been talking about it since the first day of training camp. Since Stefan talked to the media and kind of cleared the air about what happened at the end of the playoff game, all of those things, he has been on another level of a leader. We have said it time and time on the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel how much he has been elevating this team with his words and his intensity in practice. And we see it on the games and the sidelines.
And it's so funny because after the game, we don't always hear from Stefan Diggs after games, especially sometimes losses is just not always in the cards. But on Sunday against Jacksonville in London, we were talking about the players we're going to talk to, and then it's like, oh, well, Diggs is talking. And we're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then he ended up coming to the podium. He was calm. He was poised, all these things. But it's like, that's what a leader does.
Yep.
A leader talks when you don't always want to talk.
He took blame for the interception with Allen. He said, my quarterback gave me a shot and I didn't come through with it. Now, this team we know is struggling with injuries. We've seen a ton of them, right? They've gotten guys knocked out. They lose Matt Milano, Trey White the week before that, Daquan Jones. Von Miller was asked about it. Von's back now, and he's looking at this roster and saying, next man up, but
lineup is better with Trey White, Matt Milano, and Daquan Jones. Just honestly, it's better with those guys in there. But we can still compete and be competitive and still achieve all of our dreams that we set out for at the beginning of the season. We can still do that. We can still do that now with the guys that we have here. It's like I said, it's better with those guys in the lineup, but we still have a competitive product where we can go out there and win a lot of games for sure.
And I asked Von on Wednesday about what it's like to be an injured player and being out, because a lot of times even the players will say next man up, and fans think about the next guy. What's it like to be that guy that's out? And he said, this is all I think about when I'm playing. This is all it is. And sometimes we talk about these guys being people and not just, you know, that's what Matt Milano's going through. We know Trey White's going through it. Daquan Jones. Yeah. They may be done for the year. We'll see for sure. It's not easy on those guys to see the rest of their teammates play and them not being with them.
The next man up mantra makes it seem so impersonal at times, like, oh, there's just the next guy up. Like, no, you don't replace Matt Milano. And that was something that Sean McDermott clarified this week. You don't replace Trey White on the field. But you play for them. They're still a part of the team. They're just not physically on the field. I think that's an important distinction.
And I also agree the fact that, like, the season doesn't end. You have to continue. Von Miller talked about you can't just fold up because of this with a scenario. You got to keep going. So the team doing exactly that. And, hey, we're going to take a quick break, but after that we're going to talk about this Giants team. There's Brian Daboll, where they're at coming into this matchup against Buffalo.
Oh. There's a joke about ending a sentence in a preposition. Where are they at? I'll tell you. I can't say it on the air.
Okay.
But it's fun.
I was going to put a question mark. Would that make it better?
Raven187 said, is the Dan and Daboll drinking game a shot every time he gets giddy with Daboll? That would be a fun game. Like, hats off. Like,
that would be a deadly game.
And then there's another account. I'm not going to address it by name, but stop talking about the part of Stefan Diggs. You're part of the problem, not the solution.
Oh, please.
I completely disagree. Wrong. We have been the ones being the level-headed. If you want to talk to Stephen A. Smith in the national media about what it is, we have been there from day one. That's why I wanted to say it on the show. We have been day one people saying that once Steph talked and cleared the air, that first day of training camp, he has been exceptional.
And Jenny, you talked about him.
We're the people he talks with every week.
You talk about him talking in the media. I'm happy Diggs doesn't talk all the time, even though he's great, because when he talks, he's fantastic. But I would say, Steph, if you do Wednesday and Sunday, I'm happy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I think he's really good. By the way, we're going to talk about the Giants here. This portion, as we come back, is airing Sunday morning. Like you guys know, we don't know 100% on who's going to be playing for the Giants. We think it's going to be Tyrod Taylor, but we're leaving that. We're going to leave that a little open to see what happens on Sunday.
Yeah. That was good. That was good TV up there. Felt good.
TV.
Good TV.
Good TV.
That's
good
the host.
YouTube.
The host taking care of it for us. That's it?
How much time?
That's all you got? Oh,
so I thought we had to go.
Yeah, Melody in our ear.
Shout out producer Melody and Rusty.
All things angling, who's in Henrietta, said no fluff, only the best, only reality on this show.
Love it. All right, we're taking a quick break. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to the show. Bills facing off against the Giants on Sunday Night Football. Dan, the Giants
Not great.
went to the playoffs last season.
They did.
They did do that.
They did.
And then this season has been a lot different.
I remember Brian Daboll's first game. He ended up going for it for 2 for the win at the end of the game against Carolina. And I remember everybody rallying around Daboll and the sideline and everything like that. Some of that's gone right now. They don't seem to have that. They've got injuries, especially at quarterback. We don't know who's going to play at quarterback leading into the game. Saquon Barkley's been also banged up. They've been missing a lot of players. They're not a good football team. That's not a hot take to say it. But this is also a team that anything can happen.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's the NFL. It's just they're in a tough spot. And I've said I do not love the way they've put this roster together. But Brian Daboll is a really good coach. Wayne Martindale's had a lot of success in this league. And the minute you disrespect an opponent is the minute you get beat.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think sometimes you don't take them as seriously. You think you can kind of just roll out the ball. You'll be able to take control. And obviously the NFL, while the Giants are very banged up, it's still a competitive game. Every team comes to play, all of those things. So I do understand exactly where you're coming from. This Giants team, though, it's going to be interesting to see quarterback-wise.
Yeah.
And Tyrod Taylor.
Yep.
He played in Buffalo for a couple years,
And it was
obviously.
Tyrod.
And it was Tyrod.
And now it's Tyrod.
Now it's
but that's
Tyrod.
cool. It's his name.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of Tyrod Taylor. I think he's a pro's pro. I think he is one of those guys that overshot where he was supposed to be. Coming out
Agreed.
of Virginia Tech, ends up being a backup in Baltimore, but ends up being a starter in the Bills.
Yeah.
Ends up breaking the drought. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
After Nate Peterman got
We're
that shot
at that
late
game
in the year.
in Jacksonville.
That's right. And then he ended up being the quarterback. And look, is he a top-notch starter? No. But he has carved out a,
13 years.
Yeah, I was
This
going to
is
say.
13th
Hell of a
year.
career.
Yeah.
Same as Von Miller, isn't it?
Yeah. Not exactly. Same amount of years.
That's what I meant, not the same career. But I'm saying this, so this is one of those guys that congrats to Tyrod because he's one of, there was a lot of thought that maybe he wouldn't be an NFL quarterback.
Yeah.
And he's done it for that long. So I'm
Yeah.
happy to see for him.
Yeah, I mean, Dan, he has outlasted probably what everyone expected.
And he spoke this week. And we wanted to try and find a soundbite to run.
He's not a big talker.
He is so even keeled.
Yep.
He is so mellow when he was
He really
the starter
is,
here.
yeah.
He says a lot of words without saying anything.
Yeah.
And in a sense, being a quarterback, doing that, he doesn't cause any drama.
Nope.
He just goes about his business, nothing but respect for what he has done.
He was even asked about, coming back to Buffalo, obviously a team he was very familiar with, and he just kind of smiled and laughed. He was like, well, I know the atmosphere is going to be really intense.
Who knows who's going to start right now, but maybe he's a little bit more athletic than Daniel Jones because that offensive line for the Giants.
Daniel Jones is a pretty good athlete, and even he's had trouble with this offensive line.
Tyrod's a better athlete than Daniel.
Yeah. It's probably pretty close now, 13 years in the league.
True,
yes.
but that's not a knock at Daniel. It's more of a compliment to Tyrod.
Well, it also should tell you a little bit about their offensive line, And I spoke with Brandon London, who is a former NFL player, played for the Dolphins, ended up getting a Super Bowl ring with the Giants. I talked to him about what's going on with the Giants and maybe the mindset that team takes the field with against the Bills on Sunday night.
You know that is disrespectful when a team calls you a get-right game. So this team, who cares? They need to shut out all the noise from the outside. Who cares what anyone is saying about you? Because you know what? Right now, it's probably true. We're going to lean to the fan side, lean to the outrage, to the vitriol online, because what you've put on tape so far, you can say it's not you, but you are what your record says you are.
It's interesting. He's quoting Bill Parcells, the famous Giants coach. You are what your record says you are. They know they're 1-4. Their one win, they were down 20-0 at halftime to the Cardinals.
Yeah, I think that's
great second half, but that kind of tells you where this team has been.
Yeah.
He's right. It is embarrassing and disrespectful to call a team a get-right game.
Yeah.
And like I said, we talked about at the beginning of the show, the fact of the matter is that the Bills could use a game that everything gets back to normal and dealing with we can kind of forget about the injuries and get back to winning and kind of checking the boxes.
Yeah.
You got to go out and play.
You
It is
do.
disrespectful, though. I will say that.
Well, Sean McDermott said the focus this week is on ourselves.
Yeah.
I think that's a nice way of putting it, of getting everything
It's a
together.
polite way of saying it.
That's a polite way of saying it. All right, coming up after the break, we're going to take a look at AJ Epenesa's season so far and the breakout start for the player. Thank you for helping me out. It was very clunky. I just didn't know. Mid-brain, you know when your brain just like spaces on
That's
how
never
to
happened
say
to me.
Tyrod, Tyrod.
You are a little. You see, you came back a little bit later from London.
Yeah.
And it is a little bit. You get back and your time is a little screwed up.
Yeah.
So we'll forgive you.
I was just
We'll
saying,
forgive her.
my brain's on jet lag mode a lot.
It's on Jenna lag.
yeah, exactly.
Well, somebody was asking, will Dorian Williams start? Any word on any new additions or free agents? I think they'll add eventually in free agency at some point this season. But I think they will roll with Dodson and Dorian.
Yeah.
And I think they'll interchange. We talked about in the Buffalo Plus podcast whether or not it's just a rotation. You know, like I said, the Bills have been blessed for the last few years to have two mainstays at linebackers, and that's very rare. But kind of like what you do sometimes with running backs, and you have a third down running back and a second, you know, your other guy.
Linebacker by committee.
Maybe Dorian is more of the coverage guy. Maybe Dodson's more of the run stopper. You also have A.J. Klein as a possibility. I think it's going to be much more of a rotation around Terrell Bernard than it was before.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I think I'm going to say what you're going to say. Dorian Williams has impressed me.
Flashed. He has definitely flashed. You see the athleticism, but there's one thing of getting a guy in there maybe late in the game, seeing what he can do, playing him on teams. There's another thing of playing him from the first snap of the game. So, hey, throw him in there. Let's see what happens.
An adjustment. But still, if you're going to get him reps like you talked about, this is a good opportunity for exactly that.
Jim Mark saying the entire defensive line has surprised me. They've underperformed for years. What has changed?
Okay.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
We'll take a break. All right, welcome back to Buffalo Plus, presented by Connors and Ferris. Let's talk about a bright spot that we saw last week, Mike. AJ Epenesa, I feel like this entire season so far, he kind of had quietly, you know, we were talking about him in terms of what can he do, to kind of, you know, present himself, to make these flashes. And what we've seen so far this season has been exactly that.
It really couldn't have gone better for AJ during this season. At the beginning of the year, at training camp, Sean McDermott raved about him and said he is a pivotal piece to this defense. And then they trade Boogie Basham. Okay, so they're making their call there. This guy has played like a guy who gets paid. Now, there are some Bills fans that would be like, you know, he hasn't done what you think. Somebody's paying A.J. Epenesa. Because he has been impactful. And Dan, what's really cool about it is that people say he's been doing it in practice. Now he's doing it in a game. That's an evolution of a player. Maybe it's taken a little longer, but he's really getting it done.
The strip sack at the end of the half against Jacksonville. Massive play, massive momentum swing to take points off the board. That was the moment that I tweeted, I take back all the negative things that I said about A.J. Epenesa, because this has been a guy that we have heard all of those things. How pivotal he's been, how great he looks, how he's transformed his body. Now he's finally putting it to work, and it is showing off. Hand up. I was wrong. I can take it. And it was just been impressive to see this guy use his length to his advantage, knocking down passes. He had the pick six, using a little bit of the speed, the pass rush, all of those things. Sometimes we talk about progression and development. It's not always linear. This is kind of that moment where things have seemed to tick upwards dramatically for A.J. Epenesa.
Yeah, it's all clicking together. And he talked about this season, you know, what has been able to allow him to make these changes and see those results on the field.
My expectations have always been through the roof. I'm a believer no one has higher standards on you than yourself, you know, and things like that. And I'm one of those people that holds myself to the highest standard, and just kind of putting the little things together and things like that help me kind of correlate and bring things to the big stage on Sunday, and just kind of keeping my house in order and staying intentional is the big thing. So every morning and all the way through the day, just try to be intentional with things I do, and that's been helping me through this season.
Staying intentional.
Yeah.
I feel like I need to be a bit more like that. But obviously, it's really been paying off for him, Mike.
Yeah, what I like about it is they needed somebody to step up last week in a big play, and the natural thought would have been, well, Von Miller's back.
Yeah.
It was AJ who made multiple plays, including that huge one before the half. Now, we're going to be doing our picks in a minute, but our sponsor, Greg Connors, by the way, he's been a little bit better than us in picking the games this year. I asked him, what do you think's going to happen? What are you looking for, and what's your score, Bills against the Giants?
Nobody knows Josh Allen better than Brian Daboll. What is he going to use on that defense to try to stop Josh? I think he's going to test his patience. And Josh has to demonstrate he's evolving as a quarterback. Dorsey's got to show that he's evolved as a play caller, and they got to take what the defense is giving them, and we got to put up 31 points. I think it's going to be 31-21 Buffalo.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Dan, he's right there with you. Dorsey's got to evolve. Josh has to,
change.
Not really change. It's just, look, we're coming off a great stretch of offense for this team. 3 straight games.
Yeah.
That's what you want to see them get back to.
They're both very competitive. Josh has always talked about the competitiveness of Daboll and everything like that. I think Daboll will challenge him, along with Wink Martindale, to be patient for 60 minutes. And I think Josh can be, because the Giants ain't going to challenge you too much.
Yeah.
Any punt, kick is a good drive that ends in it.
Yeah. Taking the cheese, like you've talked about.
Take the cheese. The freebies.
The freebies. All right, we heard Greg's pick. Coming up after the break, our picks and predictions for Sunday night's game against the Giants.
I was thinking about Daboll and Dorsey. I want them to stand next to each other for the game.
Number 10.
Number 10. It is a number 10. It is funny. 10. It really is. And you know what? Dan said it. It was John Feliciano, the first guy, was talking about the FaceTime. That's got to be what? That was like 2019?
19? Because that's when the first time Daboll was thought about getting a head coaching job.
And it was
Can you
like,
imagine him in L.A. with the Chargers?
He'd be really good.
What could have been?
Yeah, he'd be really good.
Yeah.
Should have got. Chargers are
and it's a
themselves.
Buffalo guy is the GM there. Yeah.
Good comment, bad comment. Good comment first. Tina Fursback. Hi, Jenna, Mike, and Dan. Love this stuff. Honestly, I've watched a lot of podcasts, and you guys are really great. Not just saying that. Appreciate that. Ryan Montag saying Dan was wrong. Massive advantage being in London all week. Okay. I think a lot of talk has been about when they should have left. The Bills weren't the first team to leave on a Thursday.
Right.
6 previous teams had left on Thursdays to play in London games. 4 of them had won.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Jacksonville had left. The other 2 times, the 2 previous times they had played in London, they left on Thursday and won the game.
No, but you said Jacksonville would want to have left. Like
Correct.
you were saying that Jacksonville was
correct.
too
I
long.
thought Jacksonville would have a disadvantage being there. And a lot of people are saying Jacksonville had an advantage being there.
Let me tell you something.
I actually think that's true.
Well,
it's hindsight.
It is also.
I agree.
It's
but
also
hindsight, you can say you're wrong.
53 guys on the team. 53 guys on the team. Some guys hated being there and maybe felt like they didn't play well being there for a week and a half. The difference was the Bills travel there on a Thursday and the other team's traveling close to the same time or maybe a day or 2 more.
Yeah.
I think it's a whole lot about nothing. I don't know when they're going to play in Europe again.
Pedro, Chiefs minus 10.5.
Right, break. All right, welcome back to the show. Let's get into it, gentlemen. What is your pick for Sunday? Dan, I'm going to start with you.
Sometimes I always think about what team is more desperate. And we often joke around about the hungry dog runs faster. Unfortunately, in this case for the Giants, I don't think they have the dogs to be in this game. It's just a simple case of which roster is better. Sunday night at home, off a loss. I think the Bills will not overlook the Giants. And yeah, while it is probably disrespectful, it is a get-right game for Josh Allen and the Bills against Brian Daboll. I got this thing as a complete rout. I don't know if the Bills will punt in this game, to be completely honest. I like this game to be 41-10, Bills big.
Wow.
I love how confident you are.
Yes.
It's a little scary how confident I am in this game. Not going to lie.
Okay, so I also have the Bills winning this game, but I don't have it as an offensive explosion in this one, but I do believe this is a get-right scenario for the Bills. Look, Josh Allen and the offense really struggled last week. I think this is a perfect opportunity for them to get back in sync, get back into a rhythm. I also think for the Bills defense, having some of those new starters out there, this will give them the opportunity to get those reps and to kind of build their resume. I have the Bills winning this one. Again, not an offensive explosion. 24-7, but again, Buffalo picks up the win, and they get back into the win column.
All right, and my other part on this game is I talked about Brian Daboll coming coming back. It's awesome for him. And he was great for the Bills.
Yeah.
And he really helped Josh Allen and in turn certainly helped Sean McDermott. But these are competitive guys. And Sean McDermott coached and Brian Daboll, they were together and it worked and it worked and it worked until the point where Daboll needed to go get his own job. I think this game is important to Sean McDermott.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think he wants to win them all. He will never say this. If he was watching this now, and I know he's a Buffalo Plus subscriber,
Yep.
he would say, Mike, what are you talking about? It's a game on my schedule. It's the most important. It's against a guy he coached with
Correct.
who got a lot of credit and deserved that credit. Sean McDermott wants this win. The Bills get it big. I've got the Bills winning this one 38-13.
Josh Allen will be benched at some point in the fourth quarter.
Again, the confidence.
Because he hadn't punted in the game.
yeah, that's
And
very
poor
true.
Kyle Allen is going to take 3 knees again, and he's going to be like minus 11 yards rushing on the season.
I have the Bills winning this. I think like we talked about, we all have the Bills winning this. The Bills need this.
Yes.
Sunday night will be something.
Yep.
All right, we want to remind everyone to be sure to check out the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel. Just go to Buffalo Plus's YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe, as well as our podcast. Check it out wherever you listen to your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you know all the places. All right, the Bills kick off in this one later on at night. For Dan Fetes, Mike Catalana, I'm Jenna Cottrell. Thank you so much for watching Buffalo Plus, presented by Connors and Ferris.